Hello everyone. Back in October, if you've been subscribed that long, I did a couple of videos about the best of Netflix, Hulu, and Disney Plus, which I kind of saw as like the top streamers of the time. Because of my love for this and because I want more people outside of a critical lens and more like casual entertainment viewers to get really high quality content out of streaming, I think Apple TV delivers that, and I try at any point that I can to make that $5 a month subscription seem worth it. So today I'm going to be talking about 3 categories of Apple TV Plus shows. Now I've broken these into my current favorites, my well does, which are things that you've probably heard are on the platform that I probably don't need to recommend to you, but I'm just going to give you a little extra of my take of why they're good, and then the hidden gems, which are the things that maybe no one is talking about, you haven't heard about, but that you need to see. In my current favorites, these both have to do with it being summer currently, and the first one of which is a documentary directed by Bryce Dallas Howard called Dads. It is the story of what it is like to be a modern day dad. Bryce Dallas Howard brings up such an interesting argument that not even 60 years ago, it wasn't uncommon for a dad to not have too much to do around the house. It was more of just you go off to work and provide for the family and come home. Whereas now the modern day dad is so involved in his kid's life. And so Bryce Dallas Howard interviews both some quote unquote normal dads, some celeb dads that you'll probably recognize, and then even some influencer dads who are changing the perception of what it's like to be a stay-at-home father and things like that that we see more and more of in our modern world today. It is such a good documentary and such a good look on fatherhood and what it means to be a good father nowadays. Also, she has a really touching tribute to both her own father, Ron Howard, the legendary director and actor, and her grandfather, as well as her own brother, who is becoming a dad for the first time as she's filming this documentary. Next is a little adult animation, I guess I would say, just because it's a little bit more mature, but not in more explicit ways, is Central Park, which is Apple TV Plus's animated series about a family who lives on the grounds of Central Park in New York City. The main character is Owen, who is the father of the household and who is the groundskeeper at Central Park. He is very much a Leslie Knope type who desperately wants people to enjoy the park, understand and appreciate all of its natural beauty, and has a lot of problems with people leaving trash or disrespecting the park at different events. His wife is played by Kathryn Hahn, and his 2 children add a lot of humor to the show. Josh Gad, Kristen Bell, and a couple of the guys from Hamilton kind of got together to create this show, and it is a musical, comedy, animated extravaganza that you absolutely can't miss, especially if you're a fan of parody type music like TMG or really catchy, clever rap music from Daveed Diggs specifically, but also Leslie Odom Jr. loans his voice to Owen and all that kind of stuff. Hamill fans, this is your next best thing. So then for my well does Dickinson. I mean, you guys know, I talk about the show. It follows Haley Steinfeld as Emily Dickinson as she maneuvers family life growing up in the late 1800s. Season 2 finished this year, and I know that season 3 has just recently wrapped production, so now is the perfect time to catch up. And it is also great going into fall because both seasons have a very fall, Halloween, spooky kind of mystical vibe to them, especially with Dickinson's known kind of obsession with death and the concept of dying and love and eternity in a lot of her poems. It's a great way to get into the fall season. And then we have Ted Lasso, which is getting ready to return on July 23rd, I believe, for its 2nd season. Now is also the perfect time to watch Ted Lasso because not only is it always a good time to watch Ted Lasso, but there's a lot of soccer events between the Summer Olympics, the Copa America, and the Euro Cup. Those are kind of, other than the World Cup, are some of the bigger events that go on for soccer on the world stage. While Ted Lasso and his team at FC Richmond will maybe not be in those same settings, it follows dim-witted but optimistic NCAA football coach Ted Lasso as he moves from his state school in America abroad to England to coach a failing football club whose owners are in a little bit of a divorce drama that may or may not be influencing how the club is performing. And Lasso is brought in seemingly to fix the club, but with his limited knowledge of soccer, there's a lot of mishaps that end up happening, making the show an absolute blast to watch. We have these really beautiful cinematic darker stories, kind of like Apple TV Plus's The Morning Show, and drama seems to reign supreme in that category. But when you have a comedy side, there's a lot of really lighthearted comedies that are focusing on what it is to be a good person and morality and that sort of thing that I think Ted Lasso brings such a fun look at. So it is highly, highly recommended that you watch it. And like I always say, if Ted Lasso doesn't know anything about soccer, you also don't need to know anything about soccer to watch this show. I promise you, you will still enjoy it just as much. And lastly, I have my hidden gems, which these are two that I watched actually last summer, and I can't believe I've never talked about them because of how much I liked and appreciated both of them. First is Sofia Ford Coppola's film On the Rocks, which stars Bill Murray and Rashida Jones as a father-daughter pair who are trying to track down Rashida Jones's character's husband, who they suspect may potentially be cheating on her. And it is kind of a dramedy, I think, in the truest sense of the word, because it is extremely funny at times, but deals with some heavy themes and the kind of complex relationships that fathers and daughters have as they grow up, specifically in the case of Rashida Jones and Bill Murray's dynamic in the film, with Bill Murray's father having cheated on Rashida Jones's mother in the past. Like I said, an interesting, complex dynamic that has to be told about the love of family, the love of your own career, as well as how you deal with things when they start to spiral out of control in your own life. This is a really great fun movie night movie, so I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. And finally, a series I can't believe wasn't talked about more is Defending Jacob. Defending Jacob follows Chris Evans as the district attorney in his city as a murder of a child started to be investigated. And the prime suspect of the murder ends up being none other than Chris Evans' son. It deals with this really, again, complex notion of family. If you love and trust your child and believe they can do no wrong, how does that stack up against mounting evidence that the child you thought you knew and loved that was innocent that you brought into this world could have done unspeakable things? And I won't say anything because the series really keeps you on your toes, and it is so bingeable, which I offer to you now because when I was watching it, I had to wait 1 week for each of them to come out. The whole series really keeps you on your toes, and honestly, it is the best performance I have ever seen Chris Evans give, ever. That is going to be it for my recommendations. I want to keep these kind of as short and sweet as possible, but still give you guys a good in-depth feel of why I love these shows so much and am recommending them. Again, you can go kind of with the categories. If you're brand new to Apple TV Plus, stick with the well does because those are the older shows that are getting renewals. That will give you an overall feel of the kind of quality of content you can get on Apple TV Plus. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment down below your Apple TV Plus suggestions, and hit the subscribe button so you can get more content just like this. Have an absolutely amazing day, and I will see you in my very next video. Bye, guys.